The Mazdaspeed6 is an underrated performance sedan with massive power and a manual transmission that is almost certainly a future classic. Mazda is definitely one of the more interesting automakers of the current day. At one point, they offered humble hatchbacks, sedans, and AWD sports cars to regular buyers, but now they're making strides towards the premium segment. They are aiming to compete with the biggest players in the luxury car segment, with the new CX-90 leading the charge. They are also hell-bent on keeping the internal combustion engine alive, and they're working on some very clever technology to make that happen. If there's one thing that everyone knows Mazda for, it's their highly celebrated performance cars. The Cosmo, the RX family, and of course, the game-changing Miata. While most of these are highly beloved, and dangerously treaching into overrated territory, but you couldn't say the same of some of Mazda's other performance cars, like the short-lived Mazdaspeed6. Key features: turbo 4-cylinder, manual transmission, AWD. Specifications: engine, 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. Horsepower, 270 to 274 horsepower. Torque, 280 pounds-foot. Drivetrain, transverse front engine, AWD. Transmission, 6-speed manual. Pros: excellent performance numbers. Mandatory manual transmission. Pretty affordable. The Mazdaspeed6 came along for the 2006 model year. At its core, the Mazdaspeed6 was a first-generation Mazda 6, which was a perfectly normal, humble mid-size sedan with some surprising talents. Mazda designed the Mazdaspeed6 to take even further advantage of those talents, with a massively powerful engine and improved performance in every way you can think of. Mazdaspeed was the name of the Japanese automaker's in-house skunkworks performance car department, similar to AMG or Nismo. They designed accessories and performance parts, and they were also the team behind the iconic 787B Le Mans Racer, which is, to this day, the only race car with a rotary engine to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Their proper arrival in the United States came in the form of the Protégé, a compact performance car. Alongside the Mazdaspeed6, Mazda also manufactured the Mazdaspeed3. From the outside, it was clear that the Mazdaspeed6 was no ordinary Mazda 6. Mazda took great care to upgrade and change just about every aspect of the exterior, to make sure that the driver and everyone around them knew that this was something special. The front end was much more aggressive, with larger air intakes. Instead of adding some type of hood scoop, Mazda opted to raise the hood line to accompany the powertrain. The sides featured prominent ground effects, flared wheel arches, and a unique alloy wheel design, while the rear featured a spoiler, and an aggressive rear bumper with dual exhaust outlets on either side. Even though the first-gen Mazda 6's design didn't exactly wow everyone when it first came out, it's actually aging pretty nicely. The Mazdaspeed6 unfortunately only lasted until the 2007 model year, and there was no direct replacement. While the second-generation Mazdaspeed3 used the same powertrain and produced about the same sort of power, it didn't have AWD. The Mazdaspeed6, although it was a mid-size sedan, its performance figures meant that it competed with compact performance cars, like the Golf GTI and R32, the Subaru Impreza WRX STI, the Mitsubishi Evo, and also the Subaru Legacy GT. In Japan, the Mazda sold the Mazdaspeed6 as the Mazdaspeed Atenza, while Europe got it as the Mazda 6 MPS. Only one powertrain was available on the Mazdaspeed6. It's a 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, which also goes by the name MZR-DC. DC means direct fuel injection, of course. During the 2006 model year, the engine put out 274 horsepower and 280 pounds-foot of torque, while the 2007 model year decreased power very slightly, to 270 horsepower, due to tighter emissions regulations at the time. Figures like this in a mid-size sedan like the Mazda 6 was very rare, and not many cars at the time had numbers like that back then. The numbers speak for themselves. 0 to 60 took less than 6 seconds. Hot hatchbacks only recently started achieving figures like this, and this was truly impressive back in 2006, and even still today. The top speed, meanwhile, is 151 miles per hour if the electronic speed governor is on. Without the speed governor, there are claims that it can do up to 165 miles per hour. That's more than most BMWs with their 155 miles per hour speed limiter. In order to put all the power down, the Mazdaspeed6 came as standard with AWD and an intelligent torque splitting system, which could split the torque 50-50 between the axles if the driver desired. AWD definitely helped the Mazdaspeed6 put down the immense power, and it's a shame that the smaller Mazdaspeed3 never got the AWD system. Power goes to the wheels through a mandatory 6-speed manual transmission, and a limited slip differential takes care of power delivery to the rear wheels. Fully independent suspension front and rear, as well as front and rear sway bars were standard fare on the Mazdaspeed6.